Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the breakdown video for the Canelo versus Bivol light heavyweight title showdown that's taking place on Saturday, May 7th in the main event of a DAZN pay-per-view card. Again, DAZN is now, for special events, they are going to charge pay-per-view. So make sure you are aware of that and you are getting on the ball, because this showdown between Canelo and Bivol is a big fight right here. It's for the light heavyweight championship of the world at 175. Bivol is the light heavyweight champion, and it really is a huge test for Canelo. This is probably, on paper and given experience, I'd say Bivol might be the most dangerous opponent that Canelo's faced since Sergey Kovalev, and I'm going into this fight about the same, maybe a little more weary that he could lose the fight to Bivol, and definitely the toughest one since like Danny Jacobs and Triple G before that. The most dangerous opponent, and Canelo's beaten a lot of good, solid fighters who are, you know, at the top of their divisions, undefeated fighters. But Bivol, I think, is better than all of them. Plus, he's bigger, and he's fighting him at 175 pounds. Bivol is a very good technical boxer, and this is going to be an interesting matchup right here, taking place Saturday, May 7th. So, you know, the winner obviously has a lock on getting in position for an undisputed title clash with the winner of Arthur Beterbiev and Joe Smith that takes place in June. Now, right now, it's if Canelo is the victor in this fight, as he's the favorite going in, Canelo would be will likely be moving back down to 168 to defend the undisputed super middleweight title against Triple G Gennady Golovkin. So that would be what Canelo does. You know, what happens for Canelo next if he's victorious. If it's Bivol, I would say a rematch with Canelo would likely be what he would do next, in my opinion. So, you know, it really could be anything in terms of, you know, I mean, these guys both have opportunities to fight, you know, big time fights, but Canelo, it's Triple G, and if Bivol pulls out the upset, depending on how the fight goes, he could be looking at a second straight Canelo fight in September. So, big ups to the winner, and again, an undisputed title fight is awaiting probably later on down the road next year, most likely, for the winner of this fight. I mean, Canelo has already spoken and said that if Triple G isn't ready for the fight in September, that he'd be willing to fight the winner of Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. So, you know, we just have to wait and see what happens. But big time matchup right here for the light heavyweight title on May 7th. So, as I always do with the breakdown videos, I'm going to look at the champion, and then I move over to the challenger. And if it's not that, I usually do the favorite or the underdog. So in this case, we'll start with Bivol, and then we'll move over to Canelo. But I'll do that. I'll ask the questions that I always ask. There's four major questions. And then I also give a breakdown of what they've been doing rolling into this fight, which, you know, what's been going on with them. And then finally, you know, is it better for boxing if one or the other guy wins? And then I give my prediction. So let's start off with the reigning and undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Bivol. So Bivol rolling into this fight, you know, he hasn't been on his best run in terms of performance. Bivol shuts his opponents down, but he's been really putting out like a Demetrius Andrade type performances, if that makes sense. It's very workmanlike, mechanical, not high risk. He's definitely beating the brakes off of his opponents, but it's just not in a superbly impressive style. He's not stopping anybody. His last three fights dating back to October of 2019, he took on Lenny Castillo, dominated him over 12 one-sided rounds, but it was definitely definitely a workmanlike whatever type performance. Last year, he took on Craig Richards of the United Kingdom, who was undefeated coming in. Dominated him over 12 rounds, retained the title. But again, workmanlike. And then in his last fight against Umar Shumanov, who was undefeated, he went in there and dominated Shumanov, 12 one-sided rounds. But again, you know, not burning the house down. But technically, his style is very, very dangerous, and he's very hungry for a fight like this. He's been wanting Canelo or a big name for a while now. So this is a big, big deal for him. Now, let's not shit on Dimitri Bivol's resume, though. You date back a couple years prior to that, especially March of 2019. He took on Joe Smith Jr., who is now your WBO light heavyweight champion, and he absolutely picked Joe Smith apart and dominated him over 12 rounds. That was probably his last impressive performance. Almost knocked Joe Smith out in that last round. So this dude is very, very good, very precise, and, you know, he also has wins over Jean Pascal, who, you know, later on went on to win the light heavyweight title, beating Badu Jack, and he also has defeated Sullivan Barrera, who was a very good contender when they fought. He's had multiple guys duck him. So Dimitri Bivol, a very accredited light heavyweight world champion, and he's pumped up and ready to go for this fight. Now, what kind of style does Dimitri Bivol need to have to beat Canelo Alvarez? Well, Bivol first, he needs to be first. In my opinion, he needs to try to push Canelo back. Canelo's a good counterpuncher, but Canelo usually is the guy pushing forward. Ever since he became, stepped into his prime, if that makes sense, his second fight with Triple G, he has been the guy to push the action in most of his fights. He either stands at the middle of the ring and outworks a guy and breaks him down, or he pushes the action and breaks his opponent down. Dimitri Bivol is bigger, and he needs to show some strength and step into his punches and box Canelo in the first half of the fight at least and push the action. He needs to move, and he needs to not get hit to the body so much to where Canelo can slow him down. That's been a bonus for what Canelo has been doing in his previous against his previous opponents. He's been absolutely breaking his opponents down, and by stalking them, cutting the ring off with the angles and all that. So Dimitri Bivol needs to use the angles, needs to hit Canelo, and really push forward and not be pushed back. If he gets pushed back, you know, he's comfortable fighting that way, but he might not have as much success as people would expect. So I think his key to victory is to push Canelo forward at least half the fight and box his way that way, force Canelo into being a counterpuncher if possible. So we got to see. He is the bigger man, naturally the bigger man, so we'll see if he's able to do that or not. Can Dimitri Bivol win this fight by knockout? The truth is I don't think so. Dimitri Bivol is not a power punching guy. He hasn't scored a knockout since he knocked Sullivan Barrera out years ago. I think that was 2017, if I'm correct. It might have been, I know, it was actually 2018. March of 2018 was the last time he scored a knockout. So we're talking 4 years since he scored a knockout. He's got power. He has hurt guys and put them down, but Canelo just has an iron chin and keeps going. So unless he did something game-changing like break Canelo's body down, really hurt him to the body, I really don't see him knocking Canelo out in this one. So we just have to wait and see if that is at all possible. Can he win a decision? The truth is I think he can win a decision here. I think if Dimitri Bivol fights on his A game and really can box the way he normally boxes and have even half to 3/4 of the success he usually has, he's going to be in this fight, and this fight could be close. So I definitely think Dimitri Bivol could potentially win this fight on the scorecards. I really do think that is possible. Now, can Canelo win this one by can Canelo win this fight? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Can Dimitri Bivol win by Jesus, I'm tonight, guys, are what does a victory mean for Dimitri Bivol here? And a victory means everything. Dimitri Bivol, a win here really puts him at the top of the game. It puts him into undisputed territory, but also pound for pound territory. To knock out the pound for pound king would be monstrous. It'd definitely be the biggest win of his career by far, and it would put him right there in line to push forward towards major fights going forward. A rematch with Canelo almost would be for sure if he could pull off the win. So it would be a life-changing and game-changing if he pulled off the upset here. Now, what does a loss mean for Dimitri Bivol? Well, Dimitri Bivol is a widely avoided fighter because of his style, so a loss would really hurt Bivol in terms of being able to draw people to come back to fight him, especially if he looks good, to be honest. If Dimitri Bivol looks good, people, he'll still get his fair share of people wanting to fight him, but a major reason he's been avoided is because of his style. I mean, he's a world champion and he still gets avoided. So that shows you right there that this guy's style has been complicated. He's got a great chin and he can box very well. That's not a good recipe for guys trying to build their resume and go on the rise. So if he looks good and he loses, it's going to hurt him. So a victory is huge for him here. Now, let's switch over to the favorite, the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez, who's moving up in weight to fight Dimitri Bivol. This is his second time at light heavyweight. Can he win this fight by can Canelo win this fight by what has Canelo been doing rolling into this fight? That's the question. Well, Canelo rolling into this fight has been, essentially on fire. The guy fought 3 times in 2021, dominated all 3 opponents, took on Avni Yildirim to get a mandatory out of the way. He took on Avni Yildirim, dominated him 3 rounds, got him out of there. He took on Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated 2-division world champion. Faced a little adversity, Billy Joe, a good boxer, but then he broke Billy Joe's orbital bone in the 8th round and pressed forward and, proved to everybody that he is legit, and ready to go at super middle. He unified 3 of the 4 belts with that victory. And then took on Caleb Plant for the undisputed super middleweight championship in November, and really broke Caleb Plant down, stopped him, became the first guy to stop him, knocked him out, and left no doubt as he became the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. So Canelo really has been rolling the last 4 fights, 5 fights, 6. Really, if you date back 7 fights to the rematch with Triple G, he has been on fire, and it hasn't taken his foot off the gas pedal, which is why he is taking a risky fight like this against such a good fighter in Dimitri Bivol. So Canelo's hungry. He wants the light heavyweight title. It's going to put him in position for undisputed in a second weight class, and he really wants that. So we'll see. Now, the next after that, we look at the next question. The first question we have to ask for Canelo is, what kind of style does he need to employ to win this fight? I don't think Canelo's going to have as easy a time with Dimitri Bivol as he's had with previous classic boxers. I think he's gonna want to press the action for sure, but he definitely needs to cut the angles off, and he definitely needs to get to Dimitri Bivol's body. Bivol can move. Bivol can punch solid enough. Does he have the punch to push Canelo back? I don't know, but Canelo really needs to use his angles and box. He really needs to be in good condition because he's probably going to have to go 12 hard rounds. I think if he's breaking the body down and really countering to the head as he gets on the inside, when Bivol throws, when he gets on the inside, he needs to be quick with the counter hook and that straight right hand down the middle. He's got to mix it up and really throw Dimitri Bivol off. That's the only way he can, in my opinion, win this fight. By breaking down and being the way he's been fighting. Anyways, win in that kind of style. Now, can Canelo knock Dimitri Bivol out? After the power that he's shown and how well he's broken fighters down recently, I want to say absolutely he can knock him out. But to be honest, I don't know. I mean, Dimitri Bivol's got a great chin. He's been hit by some really good fighters. He's been stunned, and Canelo's timing is impeccable. So, can Canelo knock him out? I'm going to say yes, but it's not going to be as easy as previous opponents. I think Canelo is going to have to get in there and really break down Bivol the way he's done with Plant and the other guys. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dimitri Bivol goes to 12 as Callum Smith did. He's got a good chin, but I absolutely think it's going to be more competitive than the Smith fight. Now, can Canelo win a decision? Yeah, I think he can. Canelo's very good, you know, and Canelo will put in enough rounds, but he really needs to be prepared. This is going to be a technical boxing match. This is going to be a chess match right here. This is not going to be a war or a brawl. This is going to be a chess match of two very gifted boxers. And Canelo can win a decision, I believe, but he's really going to have to be on his A game. Now, what does a win mean for Canelo in this fight? Well, of course, it keeps Canelo as the pound-for-pound king, and it just adds to his already huge resume of why he's the best. So a win for Canelo is huge right here. I mean, to beat the light heavyweight's #2 fighter and an undefeated world champion who's been champion since 2017, you know, this would be big for Canelo. To add to that, again, he sets himself up for undisputed at 175, and he also, secures the third Triple G fight in September. So it just keeps the ball rolling for Canelo. So absolutely, this is going to me on paper, this is going to be one of the biggest victories of his career if he can pull it off. Now, what does a loss mean for Canelo? Well, obviously it's going to hurt Canelo badly, but I will say this: a loss to a guy like Dimitri Bivol, especially if it's close, especially if it's competitive, it's not going to be as bad as you think. Dimitri Bivol is very good. So if Canelo were to lose to Bivol, it's not going to be the, oh my God, I cannot believe this kind of upset. Any true boxing fan knows this. And, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dimitri Bivol beats Canelo. I'm going to say that right now. So a loss for Canelo would hurt him, absolutely. It would derail pound for pound. He'd probably drop out of #1. But a rematch, I'm sure, would happen. So, you know, and I don't think Canelo's going to get blown out in this fight. So, that's that. So, finally, 2 questions to ask. First, is it better for boxing if Canelo wins this fight or if Dimitri Bivol wins this fight? And the answer is clear. It's better for boxing if Canelo, it's pound-for-pound king and you know, poster boy. It's way better for him if he wins this fight and defeats Dimitri Bivol. So, you know, it keeps the ball rolling towards bigger fights with more well-known fighters, and, you know, it just keeps him in line to the Triple G fight and to what is expected. You know, he's a huge star, and boxing needs their huge star to keep winning. Is it going to be bad if Bivol wins? It definitely is going to hurt boxing if Bivol pulls off the upset in this fight. I ain't going to lie. It's going to hurt boxing. But it's not going to be, depending on the loss, it's going to create more drama and push for a rematch and stuff like that. So, again, it's not going to be as bad as people think. And then, finally, my prediction. Who do I think is going to win this fight between Canelo Alvarez and Dimitri Bivol for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the World? And I have a hard time seeing Canelo losing to anybody right now between 160 and 175. I just don't see him really losing a fight. But if there was a guy that could beat him, Dimitri Bivol is that guy. I will say that. Dimitri Bivol is very, very good, you know, and he is a very good boxer. Where I think Dimitri Bivol is going to be beaten by Canelo is the fact that his power is not strong enough to push Canelo back. That's the thing. Canelo is a fighter that's been coming forward, using angles, boxing his way in, and scoring body shots and well-timed headshots that have been the key to his success in winning fights against these other boxers, you know, like guys with not huge power, but guys that can box. Canelo's been outthinking them, outsmarting them, and, you know, really breaking his opponents down. I see him doing that with Bivol, but not to the dominating level that he's been doing it his last 4-5 fights. I really think, like, the last time a guy was competitive and went the distance with Canelo was Danny Jacobs. Jacobs was competitive in that fight, but he didn't win. I can see that similar type of performance in this one, and that's honestly what I'm predicting. I think Canelo's going to score a unanimous decision in this one, but it's not going to be a blowout. I see it as a 7-5, 8-4, possibly 9-3. Canelo just doing more than his opponent. But again, Dimitri Bivol is a guy that I don't remember the last time this dude has lost a round, let alone a fight. He's never lost a fight in the pros, but I don't remember the last time this guy's lost a round. He's undefeated. He's hungry. This is a great matchup right here between two good-ass world champions. So make sure you're paying attention and watching what goes on. It should be a good one. I can't wait to see it. Saturday, May 7th on DAZN. And again, I'm not going to be surprised if Dimitri Bivol pulls off the upset and retains his light heavyweight title in this fight. But make sure you're checking it out. DAZN pay-per-view, Saturday, May 7th. This has been the Canelo versus Bivol breakdown video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button. Leave me a comment or subscribe. I really appreciate all the support. All right, guys, this is True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.